You've got to show me love.
This is Robin S. with her 1993 US Top 5 hit, Show Me Love. It's one of the greatest house pop songs ever. Just to make things clear, this is not Robin with a Y. The Swedish pop sensation, who also had a 90s top 10 hit with a song called Show Me Love.
Show me love, show me life.
The latter Robin is one of the most important pop stars of the last 3 decades. Any female pop artist to have survived and thrived into their 30s is an impressive feat, most being chewed out after their first album. But Robin got chewed out and then went on to do better than ever. She went from pop puppet to critically acclaimed indie darling. As The Guardian clickbait titled their 2018 article, Robin transformed pop music. And they aren't wrong. Everyone from Britney Spears to Taylor Swift, Charli XCX, and Ariana Grande have taken bits and pieces from Robin's sound, persona, and work ethic. All this plus, Robin's Dancing on My Own is one of the most perfect pop singles of the 2010s. But who is Robin? How did she get here? And how did a 30-something Europop artist outdo the greatest faces and producers in modern pop?
Yeah, yeah.
Robin was discovered and vetted for pop stardom at the age of 14. After 2 years of development, which is industry speak for shaping her image, persona, and star potential, Robin released her debut, the teen R&B of Robin Is Here. It was a success when released in her native Sweden in 1995, gaining a double platinum certification. The album was then released in the US in 97, where she gained 2 Billboard Top 10 singles.
Show me love, show me life. Figure out what it takes to love me.
But before her international success, US record label Jive Records had tried to sign her, but she rejected the offer. Somewhat slighted, Jive Records felt that if they couldn't have Robin, they'd create their own. According to John Seabrooks, the Song Machine, the head of Jive hoped their 15-year-old newly signed Britney Spears could be an American Robin, a Europop teen queen with an added dash of Girl Next Door. And to achieve this, they stole the man who had written Robin's hits. As much as Robin was the spunky presence and voice on these tracks, the perceived genius behind the scenes was up-and-coming pop producer and songwriter Max Martin. Robin had been his vehicle into international success, after having shown himself to have an ear for a hook in Sweden. In the years immediately after Show Me Love, which he wrote with Dennis Pop, he penned,
As long as you love me, backstate's back, alright. Hit me, baby, one more time.
to quote pop historian Todd in the Shadows.
What I remember about teen pop in 1999, the Max Martin sound, was that it was incredibly forceful and in your face. It's like a tank rolling through your city, unstoppable.
20 years later, Martin has the 3rd most writing credits on US #1 singles, behind only Paul McCartney and John Lennon. These hits include
I want it that way. Guess what? It's gonna be me. Oops, I did it again. Since you've been gone, so what? I am a rock star. Teenage dream, the way you turn me on. I got a blank space, baby. I can feel my face when I'm with you. And no tears of the cry.
But this isn't Martin's story. In her pop guise, Robin released 2 more albums. In 1999, the introspective My Truth went platinum in her home country, but was not released outside of Sweden due to 2 songs being about the abortion the singer had in autumn 1998. Then in 2002, having given in and signed to Jive, she collaborated with Martin once more for her Don't Stop the Music album. The process for that was difficult. She and Martin rarely seeing eye to eye, Robin believing she was being forced into a Christina Aguilera-shaped hole, a hole that she had helped make exist 5 years previous. It also went platinum, but was not released internationally. At this point, due to label issues, exhaustion, and lack of control with her pop destiny, Robin considered stopping altogether.
Ja, jag kom till en punkt där det inte helt enkelt var kul längre. Det var inte värt det för mig. Så jag funderade på att sluta göra musik helt och hållet ett tag. Så kom jag ihåg att min pappa sa att ja, men jag förstår hur du känner, men ring mig när du har tänkt färdigt på det här, för att du kommer inte sluta göra musik, det vet jag.
So now it's time to get sad.
In 2003, Robin left Jive Records. The same year, she discovered the electronica brother-sister duo, The Knife, and became obsessed with them and the fact that their 2 albums had been self-released by their own label. Coming from her pop major label background, this idea was revolutionary. She could do this. She founded Konnichiwa Records in 2004 and began work on her first independent release, the self-titled Robin. For this album, she had full creative control, and the teen R&B of her early releases was replaced with slinky synth pop. Her main collaborators for this album would be Klas Åhlund of the Swedish indie band The Teddy Bears, as well as Karin and Olof Dreyer from The Knife. One of the first tracks brought to her from Åhlund would shape the album and Robin's image from this moment on. The heartbroken fembot first made herself known on Be Mine. On its original demo, Be Mine was an indie rock tune with guitars not unlike Åhlund's work with the Teddy Bears.
It's a good thing tears never show in the pouring rain.
Robin was drawn to the track's title, which she felt was evocative of one of her key influences, Prince, and his track, When You Were Mine.
Love you more than I did when you were mine.
But the guitar didn't fit with who she wanted to be. Robin showed Åhlund the song Cloudbusting by her other formative influence, Kate Bush,
But every time it rains, you're here in my head.
and asked whether instead of guitar, it could be replaced with strings.
It's a good thing tears never show in the pouring rain.
The song tells the story of a breakup, Robin's protagonist dealing with the loss of a relationship where her former lover has moved on. The content is classic pop fare, but where it rises above is in the details. The spoken word bridge features the following line.
She had on that scarf I gave you, and you got down to tie her laces.
The mundane heartbreak of it all. Pitchfork described it thusly. Be Mine is a disarming heartbreaker, perfectly poised between twee and tough. Like if Pete Wiggs and Bob Stanley of St. Etienne and the Neptunes got trapped in Jeff Goldblum's flypods. The album Robin, despite being self-released, would be a huge hit, becoming her first Swedish #1 album when it was released in 2005. Despite its staggered release, meaning that it would not be released internationally until 2007, Pitchfork placed the album at number 39 on their best albums of 2005 list. Previously indie snobs, Pitchfork had very rarely covered pop music. The only notable pop review before Robin was Kylie Minogue's 2002 Fever album. Again, a pop star that, in American eyes at least, had come back to prominence after a decade away. Pitchfork's review of Robin was the start of a trend in the elite music press. Pop and hip-hop music was beginning to be seen to be as worthy of professional critique as the rock music that was dominant at the time. An important document in the acceptance of pop critique was Khalifa Sunna's article in the New York Times. Stop pretending that serious rock songs will last forever, as if anything could, and that shiny pop songs are inherently disposable, as if that was necessarily a bad thing. Van Morrison's Into the Music was released the same year as Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight. Which do you hear more often? This trend was called poptimism, and its first strains in the British music press, in NME and The Guardian, coincided with the weirder, more adventurous pop being created by UK-based producers Xenomania.
You can't mistake my biology. The way that we talk, the way that we walk. Round, round, baby, round, round, spinning that on me. I don't need
and Richard X.
You got it all wrong. You think you're chocolate when you're chewing gum. Some girls always get what they wanna. All I seem to get is the other.
And Robyn was right at the center of it. In 2010, Robyn released her Body Talk project. Seeing the recent change in the way that people were consuming music, Robyn had decided that instead of releasing a single album, she would release 3 mini-albums, making it so her new music was drip-fed to her fans over a year. Part 1 was released in June 2010 and includes perhaps her most iconic song, Dancing on My Own.
I keep dancing on my own.
Dancing on My Own, it was one of those things where the melody and the rhythm and some of the words kind of came at the same time.
Dancing on My Own was co-written with Swedish producer Patrik Berger. While having written for the British version of Robyn, Billy, in the early 2000s, Dancing on My Own was his breakthrough, going on to write with Charli XCX, Lana Del Rey, and Santigold. What first hits you with the song is its pounding, drilling, pulse-like beat. Robyn had stated that the original demo version of Dancing on My Own sounded not unlike Scottish indie rock band Las Vegas. There's obvious influence from disco classics like Donna Summer's I Feel Love in that unstoppable percussive throb. Also from the relentless synth line from Prince's I Would Die For You. But with a much darker vibe, recalling the more moody Depeche Mode songs. The thematic underpinning of drama on the dance floor recalls everything from How Soon Is Now to ABBA's Dancing Queen. Robyn stated in an interview with Pop Matters that the song comes from her love of inherently sad, gay disco anthems such as Ultravox's Dancing with Tears in My Eyes, Sylvester, and Donna Summer. All of these are clear influences, but it sounds completely its own. When that beat starts, it can't be confused for anything else. Thematically, the song recalls Be Mine, in that it is a song sung about lost love that obsesses with the movement and continuation of the ex's life without her. Be Mine's Robyn sees them at the station, hidden in the crowd. But with Dancing on My Own, she's dancing her heart out, trying desperately to be seen. As the chorus says,
I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the guy you're taking home.
Robyn has stated that the emotions of a lot of her songs are supposed to be through a teenage lens, back when every emotion was at its most extreme. When you were heartbroken, it was the worst thing ever. Potentially, this was her trying to recapture the experiences and emotions that were denied to her in her pop star youth. I tried to be real. It's such a subjective thing, but I tried to convey an emotion. All the big pop acts that I've been into over the years, whether it's ABBA or Prince, managed to combine amazing melodies and honest human emotion. But coming out of the super commercial pop industry in the 90s, maybe people forgot about the fact that pop music can do both of those things. About the song's perceived hopelessness, Robyn told MTV, I mean, for me, of course it's a sad love song, but it's a strong song as well. Or at least that's what I want people to feel when they listen to it. Despite its sad eyes, the chorus of Dancing on My Own, especially on the post-bridge Machine Gun drum fill, is as empowering as anything in the pop canon.
Watching you kiss her. Oh.
A ballad you can dance to, a dance song that you can get teary-eyed to. Robyn's choreography in the music video is notably taken from Rosie Perez's routine at the beginning of Do the Right Thing. Strong and empowering, fighting back the tears. As AV Club's Guinevere Kotsky stated in her review, there's a beating pulse underneath the dance bot artifice that captures the celebratory catharsis that can be found on the dance floor. It's this duality, this contrast, that makes the emotional meat of the song and all of Robyn's work come alive.
I'm a fan of light and dark at the same time. And when there's just happiness or just sadness, it just gets boring. Like, that's so predictable. And the magic to me is when there are lots of things going on at the same time. That's much more satisfying. That's what I'm drawn to when I make music, I guess.
Dancing on My Own was her first #1 single in her home country. It also got to number 8 in the UK charts, as well as reaching number 3 in the US Billboard dance charts. More importantly, it and the rest of the Body Talk series have inspired a new generation of synthetic pop. Everything from Tegan and Sarah's Closer
It's not just our physical. I'm the type who won't get up so critical.
to the tear-stained dance floors of Lord's Melodrama,
Come get my things, but I can't let go. I'm waiting for it.
and Carly Rae Jepsen's Emotion.
I will be there. I will be your friend.
It predated the disco renaissance that Daft Punk kickstarted in the summer of 2013 by 3 whole years. Pop boundary pusher Charli XCX has stated, Robyn has definitely been part of paving the way for pop stars who fall a little to the left of the top 40 norm. Even Max Martin's present protégés are asking for the Robyn sound. About a recent meeting with the co-writer she started her career with, Robyn stated, "He told me, so whenever I have a female artist come into my studio, they usually put your album on the table and they're like, I want to make this." I don't know who he meant, but he said that's happened quite a lot, and he's like, well, fuck you, go and work with her then, which I thought was very sweet. It's not surprising that both Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift have songs that sound like a diet version of Robyn.
And if in the moment I bite my lip.
Despite the many artists that have taken notes from her, Robyn is a singular pop star. A pop star with independence and control of her destiny. And she's still creating music at the best of her ability. Last year's Honey album being a notable evolution of her sound. A love affair with ambient house that equals anything else she's released. On the chorus of the track Ever Again, she sings,
I swear I'm never gonna be broken hearted ever again.
as much as it's a definite hope, her best work has dwelled within that state of being. Over the last decade, she's gone through a lot, losing people close to her, going through psychoanalysis, and taking 8 years to follow up Body Talk. But she's still here. While the Spearses, NSYNCs, and Aguileras have mostly disappeared, Robyn at 40 is still around. The endless contradiction. Like her music, Robyn excels in contrast. A child star that is more vital than ever. Her sound is retro, drawing from Prince, Kate Bush, and Donna Summer, but redefined for the modern age, sounding like the future. Her songs are empowering in spirit, but truly sad to their core. She is the girl of 16, heartbroken and unsure, but through the lens of 40 years of heartache. She said in an interview with Pitchfork, "It's definitely a contradiction because I make pop music, but at the same time, I'm maybe not so anxious to be a successful pop artist. Of course I want people to like my music, but I know what the price of success can be too." But Robyn's right over there, stilettos and broken bottles, still spinning around in circles. Everyone can see her. Robyn dancing on her own, but with millions of fans singing back every word. Thanks for watching. This was a bit different than usual. I hope you liked it. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. If you really liked it and all the other videos I'm doing, maybe consider contributing on Patreon. Patrons get rewards like exclusive content, voting on future projects, and watching new videos early. I'd like to thank my top tier supporters. See you next time.